Hallo, mein Kartoffel ist kaputt. Yo, what's up? This is episode number 3 of Lattes Before Load-in. And it's actually the 4th week of us doing this podcast now. So I guess it's a little happy birthday 1 month celebration to us. Yay. Just a massive thank you to everyone who has listened to the episodes so far. Hope you're finding them interesting and get to hear our stories from the tour and a little bit more about our jobs. I also just want to give a massive shout out to everyone that donated towards the podcast last week. Like I said in the last episode, there is some monthly costs of running a podcast, and big thank you to everyone that donated and gave us something towards that. And if you do feel like you're in a position that you can donate and help us out, then head over to the Instagram page at @WhilesSheTexts. Hit the link in the bio and you'll see a little donate box through PayPal, and you can donate the price of a coffee or even just £1 if you can afford it. Or if you do happen to be a mega rich lottery winner, then 10 grand would be great. Thank you. But yeah, moving on, let's do some questions that you guys asked over on the Instagram page this week.
Question 1. What time do the band start warming up for the show?
Usually about an hour before their show time, sometimes maybe 2 hours, sometimes maybe 30 minutes before. It varies from show to show how busy they are backstage, I guess. But yeah, it is the most annoying hour of the day because there's just people making noise in every corner of the dressing room, like different vocal warm-ups going on, guitars twiddling away. So yeah, it's quite an annoying hour. Try and stay away from the dressing room at that point.
Question 2. FOH question. When the chorus kicks in, do you increase the volume a touch?
Yes and no. Sometimes it's more turning instruments down during a verse rather than boosting the chorus. So I'll turn the guitars down in a verse, and then when the chorus kicks in, push the guitars back into full volume. There's actually a good post on the WhilesSheTexts Instagram page. So if you scroll back a little bit, find the post that says Brixton FOH desk mix. And there's a few videos there of my desk mix from the Brixton show. And if you read the description of the post, I actually talk through some of the points of where I'm pushing certain channels, dropping certain channels down a little bit, just to create that sort of excitement of a new section of a song. So yeah, check that out.
Question 3. When you're touring countries like Germany, are you traveling by bus or by plane? Which is cheaper?
Usually anywhere in Europe, when we're on tour, we will do a tour bus. This one we had for this tour could accommodate 16 people, so plenty of space for the band and the full crew on board. And we had a trailer attached for all the gear, so we could just finish the show, get on the bus, go to sleep, and we'd wake up at the next venue. And before a tour starts, I always do a budget and look at the options we can do for traveling and look at the amount of crew we have and how much hotel rooms would be. And usually at a tour this size, with the amount of crew and the amount of equipment we have, it just works out cheaper to do a tour bus. And it's more convenient as well because we just wake up at the venue rather than having to travel 6 hours every day awake in a van and get minimal sleep in a hotel. We can just get a good night's rest on the bus, wake up the next day, and we're already at the venue. Yes, that's it for questions this week. If you have anything you want to ask about the Munich show or anything about touring in general, keep an eye out on the Instagram page at @WhilesSheTexts. On Wednesday, I'll be posting in the stories a little box where you can just put your question in there. And then maybe next week I'll answer it. Maybe I won't. Who knows? But yeah, let's get on with the episode this week from Cologne, where we talked to our special guest about how good the catering area was, how hungover we all were from the antics of the night before. And yeah, just have basically a little run through of what our job roles were for the day. Hope you enjoy. Yo, and welcome to episode 3 of Lattes Before Load-in. This is show number 3 in Cologne. And as always, we're joined by Lacey, our merch guy.
What's up?
And today we have a special guest. He's a Russian vodka drinking legend. It's Max.
Hi.
Yo.
Hi.
What's up, dude? How you doing?
Great. Thanks.
Yeah, how's lockdown for you?
It's been a tough lockdown, but it's been good for the past couple of weeks.
James just mentioned that you're Russian, but you're not locked down in Russia, are you?
No. I actually live in Latvia, Riga. So I've moved here a couple of years ago, and we don't have that strict lockdown as in UK or Russia.
That's sick. I'm kind of jealous of that. It's taking its toll a little bit now, so I'm jealous of that.
How are you guys?
Yeah, man, living the dream. Football's back on, so I can watch Chelsea storm into third. So I'm happy about that.
We're not going to talk about football. Otherwise, it's gonna take me and Lacey the whole podcast to talk about.
Yeah, we'll get far too into it, so we won't talk about that. But that's another conversation for another day.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the tour. So, Max, do you want to tell us what your job was for the tour? Give the listeners a little description of what you were up to during these 2 weeks.
Yeah, so for that tour, I was a videographer, filming Instagram videos, as well as a little bit for Instagram stories. And everything you've seen on Instagram during the tour, and it's been uploaded to YouTube. That's been filmed by me and edited during the tour.
Yeah, so you film and then basically get the recap video out for the next day.
Yeah. Film the show and then make a video next day to post it before the next show. So the public can see what it's like to be at the Slips show.
Cool. Do you want to give us a brief story of what you got up to before the tour? So any pre-production you did to make your job easier when you joined us in Paris?
Yeah. Obviously, my pre-production process is a little bit easier than yours. I don't have to do anything with the equipment. I mean, at least not on that scale. Obviously, I have my camera bag, my lenses and batteries, but that's it, just one bag. But to save some time on the tour, I start planning like probably a month before the tour. I start creating projects, preparing hard drives, first hard drive for editing, second hard drive for backup. I start choosing the songs as soon as I get a set list from the band. Start choosing the songs which I will be using in the videos. Start chopping them up so I wouldn't waste any time on tour doing that. Yeah, and planning what I want to film. Luckily, we had a great lighting designer, Ash, who was on a previous podcast. And he made me, well, not just for me, but for everyone, he made a color scheme, which I then turned into a wallpaper for my phone. So I knew exactly which color scheme is going to be used at which song. So by the time the show started, I already had everything planned and I knew what I'm going to film.
All right, that's sweet. It's weird. It's a weird one because I would have never thought about when I see films from other bands that are out on the road. I would have never thought about the planning and the prep and sorting out hard drives and stuff like that. That's one side of it that I would have never thought about. But yeah, James, what did we do for coffee this day, and what was the venue like?
So yeah, Cologne, great venue, live music hall. It was another one of those weird ones where we weren't allowed to arrive until a certain time because the bus had to go through a gated area and we needed someone from the venue to be there. Classic third show in a row that we had to do this, basically. Yeah, so we turned up at 10 a.m. and the promoter had already messaged me saying that we potentially would have to take the trailer off the bus. So it's a very tight turning into the compound. But our driver, being the legend that he was, just swings this bus straight in. Inch by inch. I think that's what woke me up that morning, was the bus just rocking side to side as he drove an inch forward and then reversed an inch and then drove an inch to the left, an inch to the right. So that was a fun wake-up call. But yeah, we got in, jumped off the bus and met the legend of a promoter, that is Heiko.
Shout out. What a legend.
He was an absolute legend. We had him last year for a few German shows. He works for Live Nation Germany. And he was on all three of the German shows of this tour. Basically my point of contact to run the show. And yeah, jumped off, saw him, gave him a quick cuddle, and he showed us into the venue, turn up, have a look at the room, go upstairs into the dressing room. Yeah, then checked out the catering area. So for anyone that doesn't know, we sometimes have catering in a venue where the venue provides staff cooking for us for the day. We're usually so busy that we don't really get a chance to leave the venue. So to have food prepared for us is awesome. And the catering team in this venue were amazing. And yeah, we loaded in at 10 a.m. most days. So Heiko had sorted out that we'd have breakfast, lunch and dinner, which was amazing because in my hungover state, walking in and smelling hash browns and beans was legendary. So yeah, we went in the venue. He showed me around the dressing rooms, decided which dressing room Sleeps would have and which dressing rooms the sport bands would have, set up the Worldwide Media Centre so that myself and all of the social media team could have a desk to work on. And then, went and sat down in catering for a bit. I think we had a coffee there. There was just a coffee machine in the corner. Hit the latte button, sat down for half an hour and chatted about being hungover, basically.
Yeah, I seem to remember everyone was hungover on this show. I remember, I think that I had a contact hangover from being around you guys.
Yeah, because Lacey doesn't drink, so he was the lucky one. He was just looking for coffee for his own reasons, not for life-saving elixir.
That was the one after you've tried to climb into Lacey's bunk, right?
Didn't try, succeeded.
Yeah,
succeeded. Dude, I'm still so pissed off about it. Like, sometimes I'll be like going about my day and I'll remember that happened and I'll just get angry. I'll be like in the supermarket and I'll be like, oh, fuck James, man. Fuck Ash. God's sake.
Yeah, I think me and Ash stayed up quite late drinking that night. So we were a bit fragile this morning. But yeah, so then we're sat down ready to load in the gear at about 11 a.m. So Max, why don't you take us from this point and give us a step-by-step of what your day was like and what you normally get up to on a show day?
Yeah, so as you said, I woke up a little bit hangover, got down from my bunk and into the venue, checked if I could help with any loading, but being the legends you are, everything was loaded in at the time I woke up. So all I had to do was get upstairs, grab some breakfast, get some beer, which helps me somehow magically to edit through the footage from the last day. And by that time, I usually know which song I'm going to use. And I start to edit to an album version of the song. But by the time the video is finished, for that tour, we did something special. James recorded a live version of the song from the day before. And not just recording from his PA, but from 2 iPhones as well to get some more ambient sound.
Yeah, so it was a mix of my front of house desk, just left and right recording, mixed with a section from that song recorded, just voice memo on an iPhone, just to give it a bit of live feel.
Basically, I had to chase James for the good 3 hours.
Yeah, sorry.
Before or during the sound check for him to give me an audio file. After that, I usually run the finished video by the band to see if they like it or not, to maybe make some changes, post it on Instagram and start filming backstage beats from that day. And it goes to the show after that.
Cool. So when you're editing the video from the day before, how long would you say it takes you to import all the clips and work your way through until you've got the finished version?
It depends on the day before. Like if I had a lot of content from the backstage, I know that I can use less live show footage and more backstage process. Usually it takes me around 3 to 4 hours to create a video. Not from scratch, because I typically spend an hour or 2 hours on the bus in the night to go through the footage that I've shot that day and see what's usable or not. So the next morning when I wake up, I don't have to do all the footage.
Cool.
So yeah, I'd say 3 to 4 hours.
It's a long time to stare at a laptop.
Yeah.
Square eyes.
Yeah, that's why I need a beer.
Cool. So when you've got the video together to where you're happy with it, you obviously go to the band members and double check that they're happy with what it is. Make a couple of changes if they want a few other bits putting in.
And given the fact that all the band is so creative, Aaron is doing videos as well, Matt and Sav being designers. I've actually have a lot of input, and I'm not against it because everyone has different views on how the video should look like, and I totally respect what the band wants to see on their Instagram, social media as well. But luckily for me, they are happy with everything I do, and usually don't do that much of changes in the videos.
Yeah, and then you post it out and everyone can see what a good time we're having on tour. Yeah. So how long were these videos normally? Were they 1 to 2 minutes?
From 1 to 2 minutes. Because I think, to be honest, not everyone wants to see the live footage from every show, from every day. It's much more interesting to see behind the scenes footage.
Yeah.
And depending on how the band feels, how's everyone's mood, the backstage footage can differ a lot from day to day.
Yeah.
Do you struggle with filming all day and filming all show? Obviously, we all know, and every listener that's been to a sleep show will know, it's chaos during a show. Do you struggle getting it down to like 1 to 2 minutes to post on social media, thinking like, oh, there's so much that I want to post? Or do you generally have an idea throughout the day where you've recorded a bit and think, oh, I'm definitely going to use that tonight?
Yeah, I usually have like 2 minutes of footage that I know I'm gonna use, and then sometimes something happens that can take like 30 seconds of straight raw footage that I want to use, but it's not gonna fit into the time frame that I created for myself, like with the song. In that case, I just go with the flow and start using everything I want to use because I know it's gonna look interesting.
Yeah,
and
right.
No matter like. If I wanted to do a 2-minute video, it's easy for me to do a 2.5-minute video. So the main goal here is to give more insight as to how the show and the tour goes on for the fans. So sacrificing the interesting parts of the video shot the day before is not worth it.
Yeah, because I guess the main point of these videos is to kind of just show everyone what the shows are like. And if there's people that are still on the fence of maybe buying a ticket for a show in a few days' time, they might see the video from the Paris show or the Cologne show, whatever, and be like, oh, that looks awesome. I want to go to that. There's still tickets left for this show in my town. I'll definitely go.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. It's going to be.
So I think like posting that every day really helped push those last few tickets for the Brixton show as well.
Yeah.
So I think when we started the tour, there was like 500 tickets left, and we could see as soon as we started playing shows and these videos started going out, those tickets soon went. So it really helped to push those final tickets, I guess. And that's why you're on tour.
The power of social media.
But yeah, so I guess that's your day. Lacey, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you got up to this day and how it was for you?
Yeah, so this day was a lot less stressful for me than the last time I did this venue. The last time I did this venue, I was with a band called Between the Buried and Me, and we were main support on the Tesseract tour. We had a guy called Pliny opening. Fantastic lineup if you're into that kind of stuff. Really cool. But we turned up for the first day of the tour. So Between the Buried and Me turned up, and Pliny turned up, and we was waiting and waiting and waiting, and Tesseract didn't turn up. And then we get a phone call. Our tour manager gets a phone call, and he's like, I don't think we're going to make the show. We've broken down on the ferry. And the way that it happened is they broke down on the ferry on the way to France, but couldn't get towed off the other end because of the angle with a tow bar or something like that. So they had to come back to England and get towed off in England. So they had to ride the ferry twice, get towed off in England. By the time they got towed off and like change buses, there was no way they were ever going to make the show. So we was kind of umming and ahhing with what to do. And the whole time the promoter saying to me, just set up, man. If we have to pull it down, we have to pull it down. Just set up. And then I think it was an hour before doors or like 45 minutes before doors. The promoter and my tour manager come to me and like, so we're headlining tonight now. Just like, what? Where did that come from? And the show turned out to be amazing. Like there were so many people that turned up that were like, that knew about it, considering it was like 45 minutes. So many people knew about it and it was a really fun show. But this show compared to that show was an absolute doddle. I got up, dealt with you guys complaining about being hungover. I'm pretty sure I had a contact hangover on this day because like Max said, it was the day after you guys had got in my bunk and then kept me awake all night by giggling outside of my bunk. So yeah, I got in, had some good breakfast. The chefs there always hook up the vegan and vegetarian people in there. It was really, really good. I set up and just my setup was way easier on this tour than it is on other tours because I had everything planned. And with the scaffolding that I spoke about as well that we took, it was just so easy. And then the show was manic. I don't think I stopped selling at any point. And I don't know if you guys remember, the logistics of the venue aren't very good.
Yeah, you're in a bit of a corner.
Yeah, so I was trapped in a corner. The toilet is out of the venue across a courtyard. So usually when the band go on, I will use that opportunity to run to the toilet, maybe grab a drink or whatever, and then come back to the merch. But running to the toilet isn't easy when you've got to run against 500 people and then run across a courtyard of another 300 people that are trying to get into the toilet. It was a nightmare. But the show was fun. It was really, really busy. And I actually sold out of everything on this show, except for some patches, I think, and some badges, some little accessories. Everything else sold out. So my count out was lovely.
Yeah, I remember during the show, I turned around and I could just see your merch display was just empty. Like, there might have been like 1 or 2 t-shirts left. I just text you a picture going like, yo, you having a busy night then?
And I was like, yes, I am, quite drastically running out of stuff. But yeah, the loadout was super great for me on this one as well, because I literally opened my laptop and inputted 0 pretty much into everything, because everything had sold, which was great because it was an absolute nightmare of a loadout. But we'll come to that in a bit, because there's a couple of funny stories in that one in itself. How was the show for you, Jar? Like, considering that you was complaining about being hungover for at least 3 hours.
Yeah, it was a pretty chill day, to be honest. Turned up, had some breakfast in catering, then went and loaded all the gear in, but everyone was a little bit hungover, so it was quite a slow day of setting up on stage. And to be honest, the stage was quite small, so it was quite hard to get everyone like individually trying to set up their areas. So like Ash and Elliot were busy setting up the lights and the decking, and then Nath was trying to set up the drum kit, but there wasn't much space on stage. So I just kind of left everyone to it for a little bit. I threw up my front of house desk on its case and set all that up, got it all plugged in, ready to go. And then while they were still setting up the stage, I went up to catering and made everyone a lovely drink of Barocca, like a vitamin C tablet drink. Brought that down for everyone to cheer everyone's hungover mood up a little bit. And then kind of just left the stage crew to it while they were still setting up. I went up to the production office and just sat and did emails for about an hour, really, because it was about this time where I was just going through and triple checking every single detail of the Brixton show to make sure I'd not forgotten anything. Because, that was coming up in a week or so. And, scary times. So, I was sat in the Worldwide Media Centre with, like, Max editing the video, and I was sat with Aaron. He was working on something on his laptop as well. So I was there for maybe an hour and then went down to check on the stage. Everyone had pretty much set up and got their stuff into place. So I was able to like put microphones on the drum kit and put all my cables out and stuff. And then got around to sound check, and I was actually really surprised at how good the room sounded. Because I was there a few months before this show with Death of Anna. I was doing front house for those guys on a tour with Nothing But Thieves. And this was actually the worst show of that tour for me, sound-wise. I hated the room. I don't know whether it was like the PA that day. Maybe they got a new PA in since then. But I was thinking maybe it could have been the shape of the room, maybe.
It's a bit of a weird room, isn't it? Yeah, like a concrete aircraft hangar.
Yeah, it was like a weird hangar style concrete floor, yeah. But yeah, it sounded great at soundcheck. I was really impressed, and I knew I was going to have a good show. Then it comes around to showtime, and the show was awesome. I guess the changeover was a little bit tricky. So as you said, the layout of the room wasn't the best. Getting from stage to front house, like going through the crowd, was just a bit awkward. And during a changeover, I'd probably go from front house to stage 3 or 4 times before the show starts, and I'm staying there then. But like when every time I finish, I'm usually at front house with Gary, their front house engineer. So I'd swap over from his mixing console into mine when they finish and start playing the music. So there was some background music in the room, and then I have to go from there to stage. So from front of house, like to get from there to stage through people was impossible. So the easiest way, which was still a nightmare, was to go behind, through the crowd and out of the main exit, through the courtyard, past the toilets, through a gate with a security guard on it.
And the guy on the gate that asks you for your laminate every time.
Yeah.
There was one point I went through that gate and I realised that what I went through to do something, and I'd left something in the room. So I went through the gate and double backed on myself. And as I double backed on myself, the security guard was like, "Oh, have you got your laminate?" You just watched me walk through. Like, dude, I'm my whole body isn't even through the gate. What is going on?
Yeah, but he's there for a reason. He's there to keep us safe.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather he did that, to be fair, than just ignore it and then everyone ended up backstage.
Yeah, definitely. So then once I'd gone past the security guard at the gate, I then went down through the backstage, through the loading dock, and then onto stage. And then I'd plug all my cables in, make sure all my microphones are in place, get all that set up, and then I'd reverse that and go back round, get to front house, do the full line check with the crew on stage, just make sure that everything is there and working in the correct place. And then when I've done that, I then have to reverse that again and go back round to the dressing rooms, double check on the band that their in-ears are all plugged in correctly, make sure that their in-ears are working and, got enough battery and stuff. Then usually I'd make alcoholic drinks if anyone wants one. So I usually do, Sav and Aaron usually have a non-alcoholic beer on stage, a NAB as they call it. So I'd just get a couple of those, open them up and take them to stage and put them in place for those 2 guys. And then I think I might have made Matt a gin and tonic or something for the stage. Then Liam usually takes care of the water and stuff for the band, so didn't have to worry about that. And then, of course, got to go make myself a drink. So back up, make a couple of drinks for me, and then try and get through the crowd, with these drinks to front of house, ready to start the show. Yeah, it's an interesting one. And then show starts, lights come down, I press unmute, show happens, it was great. Yeah, and then pack down was pretty quick because it was a disco loadout. So it was a club night in that room straight after we played. So yeah, we call that a disco loadout.
Right, just before you carry on, James, from the standpoint of a merch guy, well, pretty much any crew member, but from a merch guy that's had a busy show, disco loadouts can fuck off. They can fuck so far off.
They are the worst.
There is nothing worse than... Now, if you're listening to the show and you go to shows a lot and it turns into a club night, everyone loves that. I go to shows and it turns into a club night, and that is sick when you're not working it. When you haven't got a security guy behind you going, you should have packed up 5 minutes ago. Fucking hell, I've just stopped finished selling, pal. Like, I just want to have a drink.
They are the worst.
It's stressful, but we always know when you're on, you always know when you're on tour, when you're doing a Friday or a Saturday night gig, you know what is coming. I know that James is going to come to me and be like, disco loadout, by the way.
Yeah.
Great.
Get it out into the trailer. But it's quite fun because then we get to go to the disco. So.
Yeah, we do. Which happened this time, didn't it? Didn't a few people go to
the
disco?
we loaded out. It's a pretty quick loadout. All the cases just started piling up next to the trailer outside. The crew just throwing them out, basically.
Yeah, shout out the local crew at this venue because they were rapid.
Yeah, they were on it.
They were so quick.
As soon as the case was packed on stage, it was gone. Yeah, Elliot's just at the trailer playing Tetris with all the cases at the same time, which was fun for him, I guess. Packed the trailer, and then I think a couple of guys went into the club for a little dance. I think I remember, was it like 90s music? It was like Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, I just remember packing boxes at the end of the show as quickly as I can with a security guard behind me telling me to hurry up while this insane 90s music just starts pumping really loud in my ear, and I instantly knew what a fantastic club it would be.
Yeah, I didn't actually go into the club. I was pretty busy trying to clear out the dressing room still. A few of the band members still up there getting showers and stuff. So I got all the last little bits out of there and out of the production office, got them all onto the bus, then went and grabbed a couple of drinks and went to hang out with a few mates that come over from Berlin. So yeah, shout out to Laura and Dagmar for travelling over for the show. So we just chilled, had a few beers in the courtyard area, and then was there a few guys that you knew as well, Lacey, that were there that we hung out with?
Yeah, there was a few friends there. There was like the two Dazzes were there, Catherine and Helen were there as well. They come. So there's some friends of ours that we've made through doing shows. They come to hang out and they're legends. They just turn up. They're very northern. They get very drunk and it's a little slice of home for us wherever they come out. They travel miles to see us and they're legends. So yeah, that was cool. It was cool to see. It was one of them shows where there was so many mates about that you're not worried about what you're doing after, because we left pretty early, right, James?
Yeah, we still had a pretty early bus call that night because we had a long drive overnight to Munich the next day. So the bus call was around midnight, I think. So I had to go grab the guys that were out in the club and then get them onto the bus. And then we slowly got the driver to pull out at like 1 mile an hour through this courtyard just full of drunk German people. I think we had a couple of security guards guiding him out at the front of the bus. And then I was just watching at the back to make sure that no one walked into the trailer, basically. I remember seeing this one guy just started walking behind it, looking like he was about to try and jump on it while it was moving, because apparently that's what people do when they're drunk. And I just looked at him. I was like, "You all right, mate? Are you having a good time?" And yeah, I think he just noticed that I was with the bus and he kind of just walked away. But yeah, then we got the bus out onto the street. It was still like a tight fit getting it out, especially past all the drunk people as well. But yeah, driver managed to get it out there. I jumped on the bus and then we set off driving to Munich, and it was a really chill night on the bus compared to the previous night. I think a lot of people just went straight to bed. Some people went upstairs into the front lounge and played a bit of FIFA for a few hours. I think I just sat downstairs with a beer with you, Lacey, and we went over some like merch details about how much stock we had left and what we had coming at the next restock in a few days' time. Yeah, Max, what did you get up to when we got on the bus? Did you go straight to bed or did you do some editing or anything?
Yeah, as I've said, I usually just have a couple of drinks in the lounge area and then go up in my van, cut the footage from the day, from the show, decide what I'm going to use the next day, what I'm not going to use, just to make sure I'm not deleting anything of value, and then just go to sleep.
Awesome. Cool. Right, Max, let's hit you with a few quick fire questions. So, Lacey, take it away.
So, Max, what is your one luxury item that you take on tour that isn't your camera or anything to do with your job? What little luxury do you take with you?
My headphones, so I wouldn't be like, when I'm editing the video, you can imagine that I'm going to be listening to the sound for I don't know how many times during the day. The same 2 minutes of the song for maybe 500 times.
Yeah.
Imagine me sitting in a media room next to James and just hitting play over and over and over.
Yeah,
again.
I think I would have left you in Paris.
Everyone would just go mad. Yeah. So yeah, probably I'm going to say my headphones. And it's you have to have good headphones to hear the sound and just to make sure it corresponds with the video. So yeah, headphones for me.
Cool, man.
Good choice.
So what would be, if anyone's listening to this and has the idea that they want to try shooting video at live shows, what would be 3 tips that you would give them?
Yeah, the first tip, I'd say come in early, choose which angles you want to shoot from. Maybe try to find something different as to other videos you've seen from that venue, if you've seen them. Try to get in touch with security, because obviously during the show, they will try and get you out as quickly as possible. So you wouldn't stay in the pit where people are crowd surfing in. For me, it's pretty crucial to get to know them, to say that I'm with the band beforehand, so they wouldn't be kicking me out every time they see me in the pit. Plan your movement around the venue, and if you can, get to know the set list of the band, which will allow you to choose which parts of the song you're going to film during the show.
Cool.
That's more like, I'd say, more of an organizational tip, not in terms of camera. In terms of camera, obviously go with what you have. It's better to shoot on anything than not to shoot at all. So don't be stuck on the equipment that you have if it's outdated or something like that. Just shoot, and then have fun.
Nice.
That's it. Nice tips, man. I enjoyed that last one. I'm into that. I'm into the idea of people using what they have and not worrying about it so much, just doing what they enjoy, getting footage instead of not getting any footage, like you said. That's a good tip, man. I'm into that.
Yeah, more experience, the better, really.
Absolutely.
Obviously, your equipment gives you somewhat an upper hand in terms of some technical aspects, but at the end of the day, it's how you edit, how you film, and your unique view what matters most, not the quality, not the 4K video, not the 60p video.
Sick.
So yeah, great tips there from Max, and I guess that takes us to the end of this show. So Cologne was a chill day. It was a great show, and yeah, I guess everyone just say bye.
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 Thanks for having me.
Sweet. Yeah, that is episode number 3 done. Cologne Live Music Hall. Great venue. A very, very chilled out day. Nothing really exciting happened, to be honest. It was a very efficient day. It was very well run from the promoter side and the venue side. And yeah, so it was a very nice and relaxed day for everyone. So hopefully you still enjoyed the episode anyway and what we talked about. Let us know if there's any other bits you'd like us to talk about in these episodes. Head to the Instagram page @WhilesSheTexts and just drop us a DM. Always happy to answer any questions there. Next week, we'll talk about the Munich show and we'll have another guest on to tell us their story about the tour. But yeah, until then, please make sure you go to your provider of where you're listening to this podcast and hit like, subscribe, share, follow, rate, review, whatever the buzzwords are on your app. Hit those. Really helps us out. Yeah, make sure you head over to the Instagram page @WhilesSheTexts. Click the little link in the bio. There is a donate button there. Every little bit does really help us to pay the running costs of the podcast. So please help. Maybe we can look into doing some sort of merch in the future if you guys would be interested in that. So if you have any ideas of what tech related merch we could do, again, drop us a DM on the Instagram and maybe we'll look into doing something like that. But yeah, thanks for listening. If you've got this far, there's probably about one person still listening and it's probably my mum. So hey, see you next week. Bye.